Welcome. Thursday night, live. I've been in it now for about 5, 6 years, always in search of awesome. Finding some juicy awesome sauce. And we found some for you. I think it's going to blow the sides off of your brain box. This is Conversation 229. Joshua Howard is the Chief Executive Officer and the co-founder of Vish. And many of you have heard of Vish. I know some of you have Vish in your salon right now. And I met him a few weeks ago. I can't even remember how we bumped into each other. Oh, I know. I had somebody I was interviewing on the show, one of the top 1% in the Summit community, and we were talking about Vish. Next day, I reach out to Joshua, and the rest is history. And I just love his energy. I love his style. Reminds me of Apple, and what he has cooking. His story is fascinating. So I'm not going to screw around anymore. I'm going to go back in the green room. I'm going to bring him out. I'm going to get him talking about who he is, and the Vish there's a whole story to it. And then we're going to bring him back to do some demos. He made some interesting offers tonight. It was just kind of spontaneous. He reminds me of me. We love flying airplanes as we're building them. He's a real innovator. So I'm going to go get him. Pray that the Wi-Fi gods are going to be nice to us tonight. It looks like they might be. There he is. I'm going to unmute him, and you're going to make him feel welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Oh man! And we were, I was doing a little bit of warming up even before I brought you on. And when I brought you on Zoom, I'm thinking, all right, is that a virtual background or what? And what is that? Central Toronto, downtown.
Just in the West End, downtown Toronto, yeah.
And this is where your offices are, huh?
This is actually my condo. My offices are in Yorkville, but condo's right downtown.
That's wonderful. Well, there's a number of people on tonight that either have Vish in. I'm going to ask them if you have Vish, go ahead and put it in your the comment box, the chat box. And but I really wanted you to come on and really tell us about first of all the Vish story and what Vish is and how it is really creating. It's like the next right answer, but it's paired up perfectly to the digital age. You're like right on the bullseye. So what is Vish?
Yeah, so I mean, Vish in a nutshell is an inventory management system for all of your hair color. It's much more than that, though. It's a creative tool for your stylist, so they can focus on being creative. And core to our brand has been focusing on the UX, so the stylist can mix color the same way they normally would, but we get to do all the annoying things the stylists either don't have the time to do or they simply forget to do. So, we take the client formula, we store it so that the consistency is right. We weigh the waste. We know that waste is a massive problem in this industry. So we eliminate waste while they're working. We let the front desk know exactly what was mixed. One of the, I'll get into a little bit more detail later, but a lot of lost revenue. So, when you're mixing, forget to charge for that toner because it wasn't booked in the POS. We communicate that to the front desk. And then we have a lot of business intelligence and insights that's available on the web app for managers and owners and even stylists. We have a few independents working on our platform as well to truly understand their color business because, and I'll go into more detail as we go here, but there's been a lot of flawed assumptions, and I don't think it's anybody's fault. There's just never been data around the color business, and a lot of people have been making a lot of money on some services and losing a lot of money on other services. So we created a great digital solution to seamlessly integrate into the workflow. And I'll just show you, I don't know if you can see, this is our Bluetooth scale. Kind of looks like an Apple product. It's our third generation scale.
When I first looked at it, it looks like it's an Apple TV oversized, like supersized.
Well, it actually looks like the old Apple TV. I don't know if you remember those, but
yeah,
it's something we've searched. This is manufactured by another company. They've retrofitted it for us specifically, and we have exclusive rights for this unit in the salon space. But we started with a cheaper scale, then we went with a more expensive scale because accuracy is vital in this industry. It's vital. The stylists need to trust the instruments that they're using, and it's got to be resilient because it's a high volume area. Bleaching powder is corrosive, and we've seen a lot of how quickly equipment can get damaged in that color room. So this unit is built to last in that space.
So just so that I'm kind of the mediator between you and my community, that is the scale. It measures, it weighs hair color, and it basically, like if I'm a hairdresser and I'm going to use Vish, and I have my client in the chair, I know what they do. I mean, I've been using the same formula as a process, so I weigh my whatever it is I'm mixing up. At least this is what Jason told me of elements when I had him on. I'll do the color, and then what's ever left, I bring it back and I re-weigh that, and then digitally something happens where it tells me the difference between what I needed and kind of what I mixed, so that the next time I'm serving this client, I mix it. I use what I mix, and there's no waste.
There's no waste, and it's like, so what we've known, this whole company started, and I guess when we bring up the slides, we can go through that, but we thought there was 20% waste in the industry. It's actually 25 to 40% of hair colors thrown down, which equates to, I think it's about $1 billion of colors is thrown away every year. It's a tremendous amount of money leaking out of this industry. And yeah, so 90+% of salons now are using some sort of scale to weigh their product. And every stylist is writing down the formulas, whether they're writing them down in their phone or they're putting them in the POS or they're writing down a paper traveler, they're writing them down. So what our goal was to make a frictionless piece of technology, and it's been a bumpy road to get us where we are today, but now through integrations with the POS and what we've done with the UX, like our goal is that you go to our iPads, you click on the client's name, the bank of formulas is there, and you click on the formula. You have the consistency. So that formula is there exactly, your 40 grams of 10-12, and then your developer, or when we get into fashion colors, it become a lot more complex. But instead of starting with that arbitrary 40 grams, we know exactly what that client needed. So you could probably get to the 25 grams as a starting point versus the 40. So consistency has always been, for salons to keep great records, that's never been an issue, but the waste is massive because they use round numbers for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jason was telling me that when he did the math, what he really saved on his first year in the difference between what you're needing and what you're mixing, I mean, we're talking about a substantial amount of money, right. As in, 25,000, 50 grand-ish. And I think in his company it was even, what is the average more savings on the number?
It ranges. It certainly ranges. So waste is a huge number. It really depends on how much you're wasting. And the net profit per chair is about $5,000 to $10,000 per chair is what we can bring back in the salon. But
I love that. I love that metric. So if you had a 5-chair salon with a service provider in each chair, that range, it lives at $5,000 to $10,000 a year. So if I got 5 hairdressers, I mean, I've just that's somewhere between 25 and 50 grand a year.
And it's done in 2 ways. So we pulled on the waste, so we reduce your inventory purchases by about 25 to 40%. But it's more about charging the right amount. So if they use that extra product, or if there's a toner, and this is amplified now because of COVID. Guests had that 3-month window where they didn't get their hair done. So a lot of corrective colors, a lot of extended regrowth, more gray coverage. And now guests are, instead of coming back every 6 weeks, we know they're coming back every 8 to 12 weeks now because everybody's on a tighter budget. They got to stretch that out. So a lot of salons have been scrambling, trying to figure out what to charge. And they don't want to just increase their prices arbitrarily across the board because some people are coming in at this 6-week interval still. So what we do, and we actually wrote a white paper we can share with your audience about this, is that when we charge the guests for the incremental cost of color. Now you can do it. Jason has done it where he's separating parts and labor. So he's treating his hair color almost like a retail item now. And then there's others that we built the system so you can set product thresholds. So you're allowed to use 40 grams or an ounce and a half of color for a new growth application. And when you exceed that, then we'll start to charge incremental color costs to the client. It's very customizable. And the reason why we've been really closed tight as an organization to really refine the technology where it is today, because it has to be customizable, because what works for Jason is not going to work for the salon next door, is not going to work for the independent, or like, you know, the high-end salon in New York is not going to charge a variable cost on color. They're more concerned about the accuracy of the outcome because they charge $500 for a highlight. So the color costs are not so impactful. But, you know, we originally come from a small place in the East Coast of Canada where prices are really low. So, you know, my brother used to own a Nevada salon and prices were really high to get that color out there. But he, you know, he couldn't charge his guests incremental cost of color. He couldn't charge his, they couldn't just arbitrarily raise his prices. So the whole idea from this technology came from waste. As his business grew, excuse me, the waste was a massive problem. So in smaller salons, it's really important to get super efficient. Hopefully that's not COVID. But well, I'm in my house. So
I don't think you can get it on the internet, but at any rate, so yes. The idea originated because your brother, a hairdresser, salon owner, and you guys are in fam, and you're focused. You're educated in IT and all of this digital.
I'm actually educated I was actually educated in physiology and exercise physiology. So I always heard my brother had this idea, and he had a salon. I grew up around the salon. He had a salon for 20 years. And the original idea came about because he had a lot of hair color waste. He was a traveling educator as well. And he realized that this wasn't a problem that he had in his salon. It was actually widespread. And he, you know, so very long story. I'll try to keep it quite brief, but went out there, tried to find a solution, couldn't find one, and started to try to build one. And when he started to build one, just went through several iterations, never built the team properly. It was all about, they never really had the numbers figured out. And he was really at his wit's end with it. And he asked me, I was working in a hospital in Toronto, but I'm on track to do a PhD. And he asked me to come back and help him run sales. So I started working for sales, and I started actually pulling apart the data and looking at the data analysis. Anyways, I'm out there selling this. The thing never got built. It was an Android device. It was a terrible scale. And we're all in Montreal in this accelerator. Technology never got past prototype phase. Company was done. CTO quit. Idea was done. But I was there, and I'm like, I was out there selling this. I spent a lot of time in Chicago meeting with salons and just pushing the idea. I'm like, every salon I speak to knows this problem. So then, who was a developer at the company at the time, we both decided to restart the company and take what we've learned and take a different approach to it, and really decide it's not just about waste, it's about business intelligence. And that's when I really started to work with salon owners and take a deep dive. My brother, stayed around and joined along with us, and he's been, the industry expert. But myself and the tech expert, which, he's not really public customer facing a lot of the time, is a serial entrepreneur. He's a genius developer. And, what's really strong, really means true to him is elegant code. So we don't release anything that doesn't meet a certain criteria. Like, of course, we've released bugs in the past and we've had issues, but we hold our code and our technology to such a high level. We're in a great place right now, where we're about to release a brand new platform in a few months, because we're always going to innovate and stay ahead of this curve.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you guys, you kind of remind me of Apple, that, once I have a device, on a very regular basis, time to download, right, and update, and I can just see it evolving. So you kind of, and you use words like in elegance, like when I looked at your iPad, the design, the scale, that it's like it's got Apple all over it. So kudos.
Experience is. Thank you very much. And like that is 100% the developer. His name is Ryan Flood, and the other one, Patrick Daly. Both of those guys have been instrumental in just crafting this technology. And of course, you know, this idea never would have came about. It all came from my brother, who was a creative genius as well. For me, and it's kind of funny, my brother was the creative guy that came up with the idea, but they never attached the numbers to it. And I'm just a numbers geek, so I was just pouring through spreadsheets all the time. That's what I did in school. And it's very similar. It reminded me of the salon industry. And like, as we started to work into it, is like you had an amazing stylist running the salon, but a lot of the time they were lacking that business. They were lacking what you needed. You need to run a salon with, like, as a business. It's not just about doing great hair. It's about running margins and running efficient margins. So, you know, my he's currently in the US right now in salons, educating people. And then I'm out there I'm growing the business and working with, you know, raising capital and, you know, developing the numbers and the benchmarks and pouring through our data and working with a team to kind of paint the next iterations of the company. We're doing it all with data. What works.
Right. And my community, as you know, is Summit, and you know the top 20 of the Summit kind of hang out on my platforms. And it's interesting because Jason is he's watching this and he's singing praise, and then there's a lot of people that are in his community that are weighing in and asking him questions. So there's a whole conversation going on my platform right now. It's amazing to see, and there's a couple of other people that weighed in that got Vish, and Evan Silver, who is he's also a salon owner. He's a coach and consultant. So people from Summit can really appreciate this because they have an appreciation of the business side of the art. I don't want to compromise the integrity of the art. And yet, I want to really see that as a business. If there is no margin, there can be no mission. The art is the mission, but business is about making sure that there's margin so that we can keep this thing going. And Vish does that.
Hey, thank you very much. It's a very fine line, because with the stylist, if you give a piece of technology on the color bar where they feel like they're only just doing it to make more money for the salon owner, it's not going to fit. So I know there were some technical difficulties here trying to do the demo, but more than happy. I mean, usually my team does demos, but I'm more than happy to do any demos one-on-one. I'll give you my contact information at the end with anybody in your audience. But if you really see our interface, you'll realize that the stylists love it. And hey, like, not all stylists love it. It takes some education for sure. But when they get to use it, like we spent so much time and focus on making it beautiful, because they're creative people, and you can't just put a database behind them for them to enter stuff in. It's got to be fast, it's got to be seamless, it's got to be reliable. And then one more thing about the scale that I really want to point out is there's no digital display on it. And the reason why we chose to knock out the digital display is that if you build a system, an inventory management system that has a workaround built into it, we learned early on that the stylists will get busy, they'll get overwhelmed, and then they'll sidestep the technology. So in order for an inventory management system to work effectively, 100% of the color has to come through the system. So what we've done, and also, and you asked me like to talk about, where we're going in the future a little bit, is integrations with the POS vendor. So basically, that's the source of truth. You tell us who's in there, we'll show you the formulas, and then the stylist has the ability to click on the formula, modify the formula weight, and maintain their creative freedom without having to think like, oh crap, I forgot to charge for that toner, or how do you get half of that formula? Or we take the steps out that they don't want to do and just put it in an easy to use application.
Right. I have one of my followers, Lisa Etkin, said that asked the question, how does this tie in to she uses Mevo too, and you told me that no, that all of the digital platforms, point of sale, cloud-based, they're integrated into this model, so it's seamless. Yeah,
so certainly not all of them yet. Mevo 2 is in our product pipeline. I've actually met with their team. We're waiting for their public API. We're expecting, I get a notification that we'll be getting their documentation in November. So we'll be able to plug in. So what our goal is, what we do right now, we integrate with most of the major POS vendors, is that we'll pull your appointment book and your customers. So there's one database that feed back and forth. But what our goal is, like, we're not going to get there with every POS vendor, but we're, with the forward thinking ones, like, we definitely believe that Mevo 2 is they've got a beautiful interface, and we think this is going to work well. And we work well with many others. Jason uses Forest, for example. They've been an amazing partner to us. And so what our plan is that we'll feed that information, the pricing information, directly back into the front desk when someone triggers an extra product charge. That's hopefully coming soon. But where we eventually want this to go is to be the digital backbone for color. So basically, we'll feed this information back in. We want to look at inventory. So right now, you can do inventory reports from hours, and you can do the orders, but we want to feed that back into the POS. And then eventually, we want to look forward in the calendar, see which guests are coming in, see which formulas are coming in, and give you predictive inventory management so you can reduce the amount of inventory you need to carry. That can be 12 to 18 months out, but that will come. And then further to that, the new version of our technology is going to give people the ability to take pictures, attach formulas, share, download, and actually create an ecosystem for people to share hair color formulas. Like, they can opt in and opt out. I know everybody doesn't want to do it, but I see and I notice in a lot of stylist education groups, there's a lot of formulation sharing, and we're trying to facilitate that and make it much easier.
I love it. So I want to get to you. You made some what I thought was gracious offers to my community. One was that you have a team of people that would do demonstrations. That you're offering to do a demonstration for anybody on my community tonight, or who's going to be watching the interview. It'll live on my platform, and that if they will give them a link to click on, but you will personally, as the founder of the company, welcome them in, and really you will facilitate that process because they're in good hands.
And 100%, I'm more than happy to do that. And you can ask Jason, right? Jason's team texts me every day. Like, we obviously have a team to handle it, but for the people that really want more out of the technology, I'm always available, and my brother's always available. Okay. So I will definitely do all the demos, and if there's something where there's time constraints, my brother will jump in as well.
Yes.
But there's never a point of any customer that if they want to get in contact with me, that's always available.
And then the other thing is that you get that call it the white scale. Beautiful, by the way, beautiful, elegant design. You said to me, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but tell my community what you said to me in terms of how to make this a value added.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you having us on here, and these retail for $250 US each. They come in white or black depending on your aesthetic of your salon, but we'll give away a free unit to anybody that wants to give Vish a try. They just got to go through your link, and we'll take care of that.
Nice. Yeah, people are asking questions now. Does this integrate with other software systems? When they come in and you do a demo, you'll be able to tell them, if it's currently available for their software system, and you got a whole list of, who's in your collaborative, and then who's on deck to be in, so that people know where they.
It is important to note that we are a standalone system as well. So this system, we do have configurations where we don't integrate. So this works. You'll still save the same amount of money without integration. The only thing the integration does makes it a little bit easier to use. Like, you don't have to schedule your day, but we built this company as a standalone system because there's a lot of POS vendors out there. There's a lot of older ones that don't really have the ability to plug into our technology. But we look at the wave of the future as picking some of the big, working with some of the big players that truly, have paved the way for a lot of innovation in this industry. And what our goal is to continue to innovate the color bar, take the data and feed it back to that place where it already lives. And, we recognize that there's a lot of people that have, introducing technology in this place is not easy. And the people that paved the way for us, we look to piggyback and work well with them so that we can create a truly an efficient ecosystem for the salon. So they all work together. Yeah. And the POS is the point of truth typically, right?
Yeah. So what you're really, what I'm hearing is that your system is a standalone. It can be integrated. And if somebody isn't integrated yet, it wouldn't stand in the way of them getting it enculturated. How's that? In their salon, and you'll be able to tell people who you're having conversations with, what point of sale platforms, so that they can make up their mind. So yeah, people are saying, like Mary Moses saying, can't wait to check this out and see how it's going to help our team manage our color and our color waste. Summit Salons are ultra vigilant. They're super, almost like hyper vigilant. They understand that sensitivity where I want to manage my costs, but I don't want to jeopardize my culture. And this does both.
Of course. And that's, you know, my brother was a high level educator for a long period of time. And, you know, it's funny, like it's been a very bumpy road because in the startup world, you have to acquire customers, but at the same time, we were trying to finish off the technology. So we were putting out a product, you know, in 2018 that we would have loved to stay in the lab and build that for another 12 months, but we didn't have that luxury. So even salons that have been, you go ahead, sorry.
Well, no, go ahead, finish what you were saying.
No, I was saying even salons that were, that have tried us before and have had some issues early on, then please reach out to us because there's been a lot of innovation and there's going to be a lot more to come. And we really appreciate everybody that's believed in us from an early standpoint.
So I just have a sidebar. You can see the scale, the iPad, and then there's an interesting slide there. What is that?
So that's the teardrop. So that's like the color drop. That's in the mixing dashboard. So you don't have to look at zeros on the numbers on the scale anymore. You look at the iPad, and as you're filling them in, it's letting you know how much that it mixed, and there's a lot of recalibration. So as you're mixing, you let me see if I can bring up the screen here if you like.
Yeah, and well, it almost, you know, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you kind of gamified it, and yeah, I'm seeing, the data. This is data, and yet it's in form. It's not linear. I'm not seeing numbers.
Yeah, I'll just bring up a photo here. Let's pause for one moment. We have to grab a URL. I think I have the same photo. I do.
This fascinating conversation.
So if you look here, you can see the screen?
Yes.
So this is the mixing interface. And what you can see is you just press on the icon, and the whole idea is you're pouring color, and as you're mixing, it's recording it, and it's doing all that work. And if you can hold the total, there's a lot of adjustment features as well. And if you notice here on our website, there's a Vish profit calculator. So if you go on our website and you take a look, you'll get an estimation of what those profit margins can do. But that's a very crude measurement. That's just kind of like, if you really want to understand what our technology can do for you, I highly suggest a demo. Obviously I'm very biased, but if you use our system effectively with guaranteed profits, and you should get a 20-to-1 return on investment. And we also, because we know that it's not an easy time for everybody, and you want to give this a shot, and it for whatever reason doesn't work out, like, because you're part of this group, we'll take care of some of the hardware for you, and there's a money back guarantee. So in 90 days, if it doesn't work out for you, we'll give you all your money back.
Wow. Well, that's integrity. To me, that's not a deal. That's a steal. That's one of those. You've made it safe. You've made it simple. And I think you've got enough confidence in the technology. You got the Jasons of the world and the Evans of the world. And I love this conversation because I really believe in my heart of hearts this is going to support Summit and where Summit is going. And I think I said to you that I want to have I'm in the middle of a conversation now with L'Oreal to make Vish a part of their collaborative. Like, I know that, salon-centric, L'Oreal, you mentioned you dropped Forrest's name. There's, a couple of other digital service vendors that are adjacent to L'Oreal that don't conflict, but complement and synergize. So I just see this as the next right answer.
And I've got some, I have some ideas on, like, there's a lot of, as e-commerce starts to develop, like, what we really want to do is So you can share a picture with the formulas there. Like what would be really cool, and you're seeing this emerge in other industries, is like, that's a really cool formula. That's great. Well, what comes with that? Well, that's this line, and then clicking and purchasing. Like that is where we hope this market goes, where people can go online, get inspired by great hair, and in the same place where they're getting their inspiration, they should be able to get their products too.
Yeah.
And that is something that we're building this, and maybe that's 1, 2, 3 years out, but we really hope that the industry gets there.
Yeah, and a good one of my besties, Lisa Giannetti Lapina, is saying that she's actually in the process of implementing Vish. She's a very, very successful salon owner who is also a Summit coach. So you got a lot of fans weighing in tonight, Joshua.
Awesome.
So,
and with all the Summit coaches, I mean, because I still do a lot of that, like a data analysis and stuff. Be very interesting to work with some of these Summit coaches, to book some time with me, that if you are onboarded, so we can collaborate on some of the data, because I'm sure that I've missed some things and our team has missed some things, that we may be able to create some custom stuff for Summit to be able to feed data that we haven't thought of back into your organizations.
I love it. Well, let's see where it goes from here. I'm going to stay in touch with you. If you already have people logging onto your .com, that's already got getfish.com. So we will put a link on in the caption box of this post on this Facebook Live, so that people want to get to you that way. But
anybody, so if they get the offer from this, so if anybody's navigating to our website tonight, because my apologies, didn't have a landing page set up yet. Just make sure when we connect for a demo, just remind me where you came from, and if you booked with someone else, that no, I came from this webinar, so we can give you that free hardware.
I love it. So I'm going to have you back on. You and I we like once a week we Zoom together, and we kind of geek out on where you're going with this. And I had Jason on, was one of the salon owners. There's some other salon owners in Summit community. I'm going to bring them on Facebook Live and get them talking about how this has kind of leveled up, their game, and service providers as well, hairdressers that are. Really would love to have them come on and share from their vantage point how this is kind of taken them up to the next game as well. So. I just look forward to the relationship with you, and I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking to my community and the offers that you've made.
No, thank you so much, and thank you to Jason for kind of giving us this introduction. Right? I mean,
yeah,
it's been about a year now. I met Jason last May at the Data Driven Summit, and it's been an interesting journey. Jason's been persevering. We went through a lot of just understanding, and then going through the different portions, and we're not, the thing is with our company, we'll never stop innovating. So we're about to double our development team and continue to innovate and continue to grow and continue to learn from our customers. So we really, really appreciate this time, like I truly do. And we're really looking forward to working with the Summit organization and the different salons. And anything that we don't do, we are willing to take that feedback and craft it into our technology.
Awesome. All right, my friend, I really enjoyed the conversation. You and I will have some follow-ups, and we'll keep the ball rolling. So once again, thanks for coming up tonight and hanging out with us tonight. I want to give it up my new friend Joshua Howard. So have a great night, and we'll be seeing each other soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope everybody have a good evening.
All right, we'll see you, bud.
Take care.
Beautiful. I love it. Give it up for him one more time. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to continue to keep the conversation going. I'm looking at my dashboard, and there's several of you that are my friends that, unbeknownst to me, didn't have Vish. So I want to keep this conversation going because it's digital. And I think, as we're moving in from, the traditional analog salon into whatever we want to call that, the digital salon, the social digital salon. Now there's the iSummit salon. I just really believe in my heart of hearts that platforms like this is what's going to continue, and they're very, very innovative. Jason's an innovator, as you saw. So I can relate to him. We're cut from the same cloth. So we get together and we just geek out and kind of dream to see where it's going. You know, people like that, we predict the future by creating it. You know, when people ask me, you know, where is this going? What's the next thing? And it's like, well, you'll see when it's created that there's a community of people that just are inspired to create, and they're the ones that kind of influence where it's going. Rather than to predict the future, you innovate and you create it. So I just love him. Kind of reminds me of Stephen Jobs, right? He can blow the sides off our brain box. So at any rate, it's a great conversation. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll keep the conversation going. So have a good evening.